Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Dad Speak, a show where real dads share their stories about being present in their child's lives with the goal of raising responsible adults. I am your host, Sarah McClure, and my guest today is Ken Featherstone. Ken is the brother of one of my good friends and golf buddy of 30 plus years. Ken had a blue collar job before he retired and decided to concentrate on politics. Ken is an elected official with a wife and blended family. So today we're going to talk to him about being a dad and holding a political office. So, hi, Ken. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Sarah, and good morning to your audience. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I like to start off by getting a little background information on you with some basic questions. So,
Okay.
number one, in what city did you grow up in?
I grew up in my hometown, which is where I am now, and I'm currently the mayor, Indianola, Mississippi, the hometown of B.B. King, the home and cradle of the blues.
All right. Now, where is Indianola, Miss? What city? What major city in Mississippi is that close to?
It sits equal distance between Memphis, Tennessee, and the capital, Jackson, Mississippi. It's located in the heart of what's commonly known as the Mississippi Delta.
Okay.
So this is big agricultural country, and generations of Featherstones have grown up and made Indianola its home, and this is where I am right now.
Okay. All right. So, where'd you go to school in Indianola?
I'm a graduate, proud graduate of Gentry High School. It's the only public school in our small town. Graduated in 1984, was a two-sport athlete, football and tennis. Matriculated from there to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and got my degree in business management. So very proud about that.
All right. All
And
right.
partially worked on my master's degree at Wayne State University in
Here in the
Detroit.
great city of Detroit, Michigan. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
So, how many siblings do you have?
Two brothers, one of which you mentioned, my oldest brother Orlando, who is a former Detroit police officer. I'm a former Detroit police officer. My middle brother Carl currently resides in St. Clair Shores, and he's former law enforcement as well. So in three brothers, all into law enforcement, all ex United States Marines. So
All
we
right.
we are very regimental, I guess you could say.
Okay. Are you guys close? Because y'all doing the same thing.
We are extremely close. My dad used to put a lot of pressure on my oldest brother Orlando, saying, "Hey, you got to be careful about what you do in life because you have two brothers that are looking up to you." And
Okay.
we did. We kind of followed suit, and he went into the Marine Corps. We went into the Marine Corps. We all kind of went into law enforcement at the same time, as you remember, Sarah, back in 1989. We were all recruits for the Detroit Police Department.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, how far apart are you guys? 2 years apart? 3 years apart?
My oldest brother Orlando's 5 years my senior, and Carl is 2 years older than me. So we're kind of stair stepped.
Okay. Okay.
And
So, what did your parents do for a living? Was your dad in the military and law enforcement? Did you follow in his footsteps?
Well, Dad was in Detroit, Michigan, attending Wayne State as well. Got drafted into the Army to serve during the Korean War conflict at that time. And, although he was in the Army, we didn't, I got to be honest with you. I said growing up, I would never go in the military. I've also said I'd never be a police officer and did both.
Yeah, you did. All right. So, what did your mom do?
Well, but you asked the question. Well, my mom and dad were both educators. Dad taught secondary education. He was a science and math teacher. Mom was primary education. She taught third grade. Both retired as school teachers.
Okay. Okay. So, you said you never wanted to be in the military. What or what changed your mind to?
Well, just growing up, just not having a lot of vision in terms of what I wanted to do. To be honest, I wanted to be an NFL football player, but if you ask me to this day, I'll tell you that. But I was too slow and too small. So after that, I didn't have a plan B, so I had to figure some things out. And just always as I got older, the sense of duty, the sense of responsibility came a little bit bigger to
Okay.
me. The things that I said I never want to do became some of the things I absolutely entertained and then eventually jumped in with both feet.
Okay. All right. So while you guys are growing up, your parents are educators. What kind of activities did you do? You played football and tennis. So was it always a sports related activity for you guys?
It was with dad and two older brothers. There was Sarah, I'm talking testosterone central. We were all manly guys. Sports was the thing. We played football, baseball. We swam in our small town. We were fortunate to grow up in a small rural town. Not much was going on, but we had lots of activities. We
Mhm.
swam, went to the swimming pool in the mornings, played baseball and tennis. Our dad introduced us all to tennis and became pretty proficient and good at it. But lots of activities. And again, in a family dynamic like mine, it was all boys. So we did lots of the sports was the thing to do. My brother Carl kind of dabbled into music. He played trumpet for the junior high school and high school band. And Sarah, as big and we're avid music lovers. We're
Well, ooh, I
huge
know.
music lovers. And one of the regrets I've had is I never learned how to play an instrument. And I'm never too late to learn. But
No.
I wish, as much as I love music, I scratch my head as to why I don't know how to play any musical instrument.
But you can listen. So that's a good thing.
I'm a great
Or
listener now,
go
and I
to a lot of
love that.
concerts. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
I was about to say that live performance. I love going to concerts and seeing live performances.
Now you said when you were playing football, you were too small, too slow. What position did you play?
Cornerback, and
Oh,
the guys on my team and the guys I went up against, they were huge guys, huge kids. They growing big down here in the South.
so
So
yeah. So are
yeah,
you interested in Deion Sanders' new team? Are you like everybody else? I'm a total fan.
I'm on the bandwagon with the
Yes, me too.
Colorado Buffaloes. Just think the world of what Dion is willing to do. To me, he's like a modern day Muhammad Ali. He can
Okay.
talk it, but he can walk it.
Yes.
He puts it all on the line, and I love that.
Yes.
Because the one thing about it, when you back yourself in the corner like that, and there's not anything you can do but win,
Right.
and you do it. I love that approach. I love that approach.
Yeah.
Think the world of him. Also, this ties into the subject today, but Deion Sanders, you can tell he genuinely loves his players. A lot
Yes.
of his players come from single parent homes, and he's the father figure for them.
Right.
And again, that ties into the subject of what we're doing right now. And I
Oh,
love that part about him. He just doesn't just want kids to come and play for him. He wants to nurture the kids,
right.
turn them from being boys into responsible men.
That's right. That's right. And I guess that's what you had in front of you, a responsible man who helped to turn you guys into responsible men. So watching your mom and dad, is that when did you decide you wanted to be married and have a family like, like your parents?
Watching my parents, and my parents come from a generation where, they believed in their vows. When they said for better, for worse, richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, they meant it. Now, they weren't perfect. My
Right.
mom wasn't perfect. My dad wasn't perfect. But the one thing that they found a way to do is to forgive and move on. Let's stay together. They never even entertained the idea of breaking up. And I've seen my parents have some knock down, drag out fights. I have nothing physical,
Right.
but
Arguments.
strong opinions on both sides.
Right. Right.
No, never calling each other out of their name. I've never
Good.
heard that. But they had some very spirited arguments, very spirited, basically around the general things, money,
Yeah.
different things like that, and how to discipline kids. That was an issue once. Dad was a strict disciplinarian and came in tough sometimes. Mom, being a mother, wants to protect her kids.
Right.
So they stayed together, and that was always a model for me. It was Sarah, I got to tell you, you asked me a lot about myself. I'm on a third marriage. It broke my heart that I never saw myself being a divorcee, but
Mhm.
and never pushed the issue of being a divorcee. But you can't be in a marriage by yourself. You not can't be
True.
the only one that wants to be in it. So, but that was hard for me, and I remember the first wife, and when the marriage started to resolve, and having a conversation with my dad and telling him, Dad, I don't want this. I want what you and mom have. And hey, son, it's a different generation. You're
It
not married. You
is.
didn't marry your mom. Things are different. And I always looked at divorce as having a stigmatism to it, because it was so contrary to what I saw my parents do. But and after a while, I just had to say, not beat myself over the head about that.
Right.
It is what it is. You got to take what life gives you and keep on moving.
That's true. That's true. So what about your grandparents? The same thing. They were married for 50, 60 years and
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely. So we grew up seeing that family nucleus of and it's so strange because you're talking about lower middle income African American families in the heart of the Mississippi Delta.
Right.
There's so many things that pull against you, especially as being head of household as a man. But my grandfather and my father, they were very instrumental in the church. My granddad was a deacon. My dad was a lifelong uh, Sunday school teacher, and
Hmm.
their faith was big to them. You know,
Okay. So these
so
two men influenced you about marriage and family.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
So
they
were
did.
your friends like that coming from two parent homes as well? Is that like the norm in your
It
city?
was. It
Okay.
was. Growing up in my hometown, parents stayed together, and they had not less of problems that face marriages. They had more. There was lots of infidelity, Sarah. Lots of even physical abuse in some families that I know of, and they never broke up. They never
Wow.
dissolved their marriage. They stayed together in sickness
Different
and in health.
times.
Just to watch, some of them, and as you get older, father time weighs in on you, and in all the things that they go through, the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, the ebbs and the flows. I watched them grow old together, and when one had failing health, they took care of the other, and that
Mm.
is so noble to me, so
Yeah.
admirable that and whatever happens in life, you're mine, and I'm going
Yeah.
to take care of you, and I love that idea. that I don't care what happens, let's stay together. And and whatever happens to me, you take care of me. Whatever happens to you, I take care of you.
Sounds normal. It
It
sounds
sounds good.
it sounds normal. It sounds like what should be. It sounds
Right.
normal, but we know that in this day and age,
No,
that's that's
yeah,
not the norm. That's
it is
not
not.
the norm.
It is not.
Yeah.
Today, Sarah, I've seen spouses walk out after this first argument, just You know,
Yeah.
it's something about vows that people don't, they're just words today. They don't really have any meaning to them to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I consider myself to be old school. Your yay is your yay and your nay is your nay. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I tell you I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to stick to it. So, but that's not the case today. People,
No.
I'm mayor of Indianola, Mississippi, and dealing with a lot of employees. And if you try to correct an employee, a lot of times we see them just people just walk off the job. And like, why are people quitting so easy in marriages and in jobs? I see
Yeah.
that a lot.
Wow. Yeah, me and my girlfriend talked about back in the 80s when we saw mothers families. And I was like, that well, I do recall ladies just getting up and saying, here, you can have the kids in the house. I'm out.
Yep.
And I don't know why, but yeah, for a little spell that was happening.
Right.
But so you had a divorce, but now you're happily married again with
Yes.
a blended family. So how many kids do you have?
Three boys, and
Okay.
again, testosterone central, Sarah. Having three boys, and um, I see right now my cell phone's a little low. I'm gonna try to continue this interview and plug in at the same time. So
Okay.
I apologize for that. But three boys and two of my own, and a bonus son who's a baseball player and now a freshman in high school playing baseball. Then started off kind of rocky in terms of him the bonus son accepted me into his life, but I'm so blessed to say we have a great relationship.
Good. So that happened through you communicating with him, basically
Yes, the answer to that is
trying
yes.
to get to know him as opposed to saying, telling your wife, talk to your son.
Right, right, and vice versa. Um, and that was new to me. How do you become a stepfather? I didn't have any references to anything like that. Uh, I had my own father, and I was on my father to my kids.
Right.
But communication is key. Understanding is key. Being firm, because little boys need structure. They kick against it, but they absolutely need it. You have to be firm with kids, especially boys. A boy child is it's a slippery slope. You can ruin one, or you can make them into a very productive part of society.
That's good. That's good. So you worked it out by learning how did you do it? You talked about his interests, your expectations of him, so forth and
Yeah,
so on. Is that kind of
that's
the
exactly what we did. We talked, found out the things that he liked. Kids today are gamers. I didn't know much about, just doing something on your off time, but to game all day and all night, that's far into my thinking. Who does something all day and all night? But and kids are different today,
right?
and my stepson or my bonus son was into gaming quite a bit. And well, I let him do his thing. I learned to not let that bother me. There are times that I wanted to bond with him, and he wanted to be in his room playing Fortnite. So you got to give kids their space,
Right.
and allow them to come to you. And that's exactly the approach that I took.
Good. Good. So it really worked out.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
So you became after you. Oh, so how'd you meet your wife? That's what I mean. That's what I want to ask. How'd you meet her?
Um, Through a mutual friend that knew both of us. My wife and I were coming off of divorces. She had a bad marriage and was a single mom for years, and I'd come out of a dissolved marriage, and a mutual friend knew that we both were available and introduced us. And I say this to my wife all the time. We've been together since we've been together. uh, I mean, the first date just turned into a marriage. It did.
Wow.
And it's basically because Sarah, we both knew what we wanted. We,
Right.
yeah, I know what I want. I know what a good. I grew up looking at a good wife and a good mother, and I knew what I was looking at. And she knew she had the same thing. She had a strong father in her life, so she knew what a good man looks like.
All
And
right.
so we complement each other. She's a gospel recording artist, and I just thought in me coming out of law enforcement and knowing that she needs certain things, she's selling merchandise and whatnot. Yeah, you need some security. So I kind of stepped in with that, and traveling with her back and forth, making certain that everything is set up. And again, I'm a big music lover, so I
Right.
kind of fell in love with what she was trying to do and the goals she was trying to accomplish, and vice versa. We complement each other. We
I like
we
that.
are very active. My wife is a big advocate for domestic violence and started an organization called No More DV.
Okay, so you and your wife have been married. I mean, have been together since y'all been together, and
Yeah.
you just find her to be the perfect match for you, and you're the perfect match for her. Now, that's beautiful. Now, and her son plays sports. So when your kids were younger, what? How did you keep them busy?
Through sports and coaching them and giving them an appreciation for the game, traveling and exposing them to different. Sarah, I know you're a big. You can appreciate baseball and professional sports, and I take my sons any and everywhere with me, and we bonded that way, and just I think that that's important for dads. Find out what your kids are interested in. Expose your kids to what you're interested in. A lot of times, kids don't know what's out there, so they
Right.
rely on strong dads to show them what's cool. Expose my sons to music. They know old school music. They know jazz. They know so,
Good.
and now as adults, they are into a lot of things as well. So my expectation from them is to do the same thing for their kids, and I've told them that.
Okay.
Be the father you saw me be, because I was the father I saw my dad.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. So now, you played sports. Your kids played sports as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, so sports seems to be a big part of your life
Right.
as
It
well as
is.
music.
It is.
So, with your love of football and sports, why did you select your next career in politics and not sports?
Well, I just saw a need for to be more of a help to my community, and I saw that I could do that through politics more effectively than I could through sports. There are things um, in terms of where our city wants to go and the vision for the city. There are things in terms of trash and city services that need to be improved upon. So, in my mind, the best way and the best course of action to me was to take a shot at City Hall, take a shot at the mayor's office, which as a result, I was successful in getting into office and uh, formulated my platform issues. I had a 5-point plan that tackled all the things I just mentioned. It tackled crime. It tackled what we're going to do with our youth and I suppose coaching would have done well with that. However, we've got uh, deplorable fields and sports fields in horrible condition. And the only way to make a significant viable change would be so I thought, to come into city hall. There are things we're doing with our seniors. We have this wonderful program called Canvas and Conversation, where our seniors come once a month, sit down, and do canvas paintings, and they sit and we give them light refreshments, and they listen to jazz and blues music, and it's been so successful. We're growing every month in our numbers, and they give them something to look forward to. And I could have only done this, Sarah, from City Hall.
True, true. That's beautiful. Do you have any other relatives that are in politics?
Yes, I have a cousin who is a mayor of Gloucester, Mississippi. That's my mother's hometown. My brother Orlando and our mom is from Gloucester, Mississippi, a little small town on the border of Mississippi and Louisiana. And he's the mayor down there. And other than that, those are the only members of my family that are in politics.
So, what is your family? What does your wife and kids say? And then what your mom and dad and your brother, what did everybody say when you told them, I'm sick of this? I'm sick of these conditions. I'm going to do something about it. You decided that you were going to be the change that you wanted to see. What did your family say?
Well, the wife, it actually was her idea. Now, as it pertains to my kids and my mom, well, mom has been the mainstay here in Indianola, Mississippi, and has never left, unlike me and my siblings. So she was a little skeptical because she knows how cynical people can be. And, the whole time I was on the campaign trail, she was just biting her nails, just nervous. And but the night of the election, when I told her, Mom, I'm gonna pull this thing off. And Sarah, I'm happy to say, I won overwhelmingly by the largest margin in the history of this town in a mayoral race.
Good. Excellent. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank
Congratulations.
you. I'm proud about
What,
that.
what
So
you,
my kids think, my goodness, my dad just started a new career at 55 years old. Wow. And they've told me it was inspiring to them. The way to go, dad, you know. And I got that from my dad. My dad was making strides and doing things well, into after retirement age. I kept telling him, Dad, you keep pushing this envelope, raising the bar. How are we going to keep up? And and here I am doing the same thing, and I know that that's gonna trickle down to my kids as well. You never stop
right,
living. Every aspect of every quarter of your life, you should be doing something. The first quarter, second quarter, halftime, third quarter, fourth quarter of your life. Hey, Moses delivered people out of Egypt when he was over 80 years old,
true.
you know. So you never stop learning. You never stop living. If you got something to contribute, hey, don't just sit and look at the news and complain about it. Do
Right.
something about
Absolutely. You're proof positive of that.
it. Yes. Thank you.
So now you're campaigning. Are your kids on the campaign trail, or are they in school at that time, or were they busy working?
Two of them one was still in college, about to graduate. One had graduated from college, and the youngest was still in high school. And I remember the night that I got of the inauguration and I got sworn in. Mm. And I'm going to try not to get choked up, but to look at them, look at me, it was something to see.
All right.
It was
All right.
something to see.
So, would politics, sometimes they say it's popularity, and you got to be perfect, because they try to dig up any dirt. Did
Right.
um Did you feel any pressure to try to be a perfect person and your wife a perfect wife and your kids perfect kids? Did you feel that? Because people were always looking for something. Like your opponent may
Right,
have
right.
do the dirty campaigning, and try to find something when you were 12.
Right. That actually happened, Sarah.
Oh,
Had the incumbent mayor had a local person who is everybody goes out and employs to help campaign, and this person talked about me, talked about my family on the campaign trail, talked about my wife, and that was hard. That was hard because my wife wanted me to clap back. And I'm like, baby, and I prayed about it. And I came back to her because, especially when there were accusations made regarding my wife. And I told her, God didn't tell me to react back to this. God told me to be still. And God is never wrong. There were people who told me they voted for me overwhelmingly because I didn't react to the negativity. I
good.
didn't jump into the fray and render evil for evil to talk back about them like they talked about me. And let me tell you, that was hard. It was hard to hold my mule. It was hard not to defend my family. It
Right.
was hard. It
Yeah.
was hard. So as much as I can talk about the throwing things Detroit police, one of the toughest places to ever go into law enforcement. Being an ATF agent, Sarah, the toughest thing I've ever had to do was to be quiet and not to react in politics because I knew if I did, it would derail everything I'm trying to do.
Right. Right.
That's
Now,
tough.
have you plan to go for reelection? Correct.
I think yeah. There are certain things I've come to the realization to know that I'm not going to accomplish it in one term.
Okay.
We've got problems that have been culminating for years and decades, and there's no way you're going to reverse that in 4 years.
True.
And to be fair to my constituents, to be fair to my town, you got to stay the course. You got to stay in. You got to run again. So absolutely, I'm running again.
Now, have your sons mentioned that they would like to get into politics after witnessing what you've accomplished?
To be honest, but I tell them don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. You can think of a whole lot of things better to do. You got to have tough skin,
Yeah.
and I spend lots of nights, Sarah, staring up at the ceiling at night, and I don't want that for my kids.
Yeah.
It's a noble cause. If they did it, I would be right there to support them. But no, because I know the arrows and the darts and the people that are going to turn on you. I've lost close friends since I've become mayor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm. So, how would you describe this first term so far as mayor?
Well, at the halfway mark right now, it was tough. Believe it or not, I was seen as an outsider. Born and raised here, but because I lived in Michigan for a while and over in Alabama for a while, who was this guy coming back home? And he has the unmitigated gall to run for the mayor's office and then won.
Wow.
So it was tough. And just to see people, it brings out the best in some people. And however, on the flip side of that, it brings out the worst in them. And you got to be ready for this. And a lot of things that have happened in my life, I always thought, Sarah, I got into some situations back in Detroit that were negative. And you never know. You ask the question all the time, but I'm certain that my background and everything I've done has prepared me for this right here.
Good. All right. On that note, we're going to take a quick break and stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
All right.
people don't realize that African Americans have always been a part of this nation's democracy. Black people always strongly desired the right to vote. They've always fought for being included in the political process. And then also, I think a lot of people might take for granted that African Americans always get to have that right because we had it before and we lost it. And so, presumably it could be lost again if people don't fight to protect it.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Real Dad Speak. We're speaking with the mayor of
Indianola.
Indianola, Mississippi, Mayor Featherstone. All right, Ken. So we've come to the part in the podcast where I call it my final 5 questions or fill in the blank. And so I'll start with number 1. You have probably seen 100 movies that you enjoy. Is there one that you can think of that describes your life right now? And if not, how would you describe your life?
I would probably say, sound weird, but Forrest Gump, in the sense that this guy experienced things like, I remember watching that movie and coming out of there like, oh my God. I mean, this takes you to the highest highs, the lowest lows. It had everything in it. It had suspense. It had a feel-good moment. It had a moment that brought you to tears. It was everything. And that kind of my life, and like my wife says all the time, when we die, we're going to die empty. We're going to pour everything out of ourselves, and that's kind of the way I see my life.
Okay. All right. Number 2, being an elected official calls for transparency. How has having you and your family's life under the microscope affected what you and your sons do on a daily basis, or has it affected you?
It has in some ways, but not so much. We're still the same people. It's small town USA. It's not like we got to walk around with a mayor security detail or something like that. But I'd say it has affected us. We had, Sarah, a shooting. And to be honest, I got to tell you that the one thing I thought would be something that would happen during my tenure here at the mayor's office, I thought, God forbid, but I thought that I'm going to end up burying an officer, having that black badge across our badge. But we had a shooting in town where an 11-year-old boy was injured. He's fine, thank God. And our officer, a sergeant that was involved in the shooting, it was one of those tough calls. And Sarah, I know you can appreciate this. One of those calls where you got to make a split-second decision.
Right.
Come to find out from those who have investigated the shooting, it's going to be deemed accidental. But I said all that to say this: it brought so much negative press to our town. I've had given interviews to CNN, Good Morning America. This was on the national news wire. And of course, it affected my family. I've had nasty calls from people all over the country. What are you guys doing down in Mississippi? Why aren't you fired the chief? Why haven't you fired the sergeant? Why haven't you turned over the body cam? And people have called my home. And yeah, it affects my family. Yes.
Wow. So being the mayor of a city now and thinking back when your sons were younger, how does solving problems for your sons compare to problem solving for the city? Is there a comparison, really?
No, there's no comparison. Being a parent and of my three sons, as opposed to having just under 10,000 constituents, no comparison. And my phone rings constantly, all day, all night. Took a serious call on yesterday, on Sunday, a day that I usually designate just for rest. And it's, there's no comparison. Uh, Politics is wow. It's enriching, it's fulfilling on one end, but you can have some sleepless nights.
So I think you already mentioned, but I'll ask, what's one of the proudest moments you can remember about being a dad?
About being a dad, wow. So many to account for. Watching my kids, each one of them graduate and matriculate through life, is one. Um, there's a time when I was watching my two sons playing on a high school football team and listening to their names being called, my kids, in the game. Oh my God. And I heard both of their names being called, and it was a proud moment. I had a strong conversation with my son in terms of his toughness, and just being fearless. I don't care if you're gonna do it, do it. Go full boat. And I saw him not doing that, and I got on him about it. And fortunately, Sarah, he listened to me.
Good, good, good.
Times took big hits. Now, in those hits, they ended up helping the team win those games. And after the whole season was over, because of they saw his courage, they saw the effort that he gave, they made him team captain. And I'm
Wow.
thinking, wow, that's huge. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big. I was very proud about that.
Okay. All right.
Watching my sons express their faith in God, outside of my presence, outside, just you train a kid up in the way that they should go, Sarah, but once they get up in age, you don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
But to see that your kids try to express their faith to their friends, and then their friends changing their life because of my son, and I know that I'm the one that instilled that. Thank God. Thank God. To God be the glory for that.
Amen. Amen. All right. Number 5, fill in the blank. Well, it's 3 blanks actually. So what 3 adjectives would your son use to complete this sentence? My dad is blank, blank, and blank.
Oh, wow. My dad is, wow. What would my son say? My kids say?
If I ask them, I say, describe your dad in 3 words. And they would say, my dad is blank, blank, and blank.
They would say that my dad is a disciplinarian. They would say that my dad is compassionate and loving. They would say that my dad can be a little crazy at times. I'm a fun-loving guy. Again, sports are big for me, and I'm the guy that goes to my college school and to a football game, full fainted pace, fainted face. But I go hard, and it's all in fun, and just to see them look at me and how I live my life, I get a kick out of it.
Well, thank you, Ken. You've been an excellent dad and a successful mayor thus far. Continued success. And thank you for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it. And everyone.
Thank y'all so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Everyone, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Real Dad Speak.